He's one of the breakout stars of the network right now, and he's got the hair to prove it. It's Bryan Hayes with his latest edition of Hot Takes, brought to you by our friends at Harvey's. Bryan, I want to start with Deshaun Watson, and I have to say, my take when he signed with Cleveland was, I love that move for Cleveland. I think he's going to be a star there. This is the quarterback they've been looking for forever. I was completely wrong. Just a disastrous start in week 1 against the Cowboys. He has 3 more years left on a fully guaranteed deal, Bryan, at $46 million a year. Is it even a question that he has the worst contract in the National Football League right now?
I don't think it is a question, Jay, but I will say Danny Dimes down in New York is lurking, right? Daniel Jones is lurking in New York. Give him another couple of weeks of throwing pick six after pick six, and there's a chance Danny Dimes gets into this conversation. But no, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think it's Deshaun Watson because of the fully guarantees, because it was an unprecedented move, partially because of who they pushed out, Baker Mayfield. Now he looks like Joe Montana down in Tampa. Did you see him on Sunday? The guy's unbelievable. He's taken them to the playoffs. He looks like he's found his game. And Baker had to go so Deshaun could show up. But I think what makes it the worst contract in the NFL and maybe in pro sports is the fact that they traded for him and then gave it to him, right? Where it's one thing if you have your own player that you've drafted, you've developed, and then you sign long-term that for whatever reason it just blew up and you had no idea that that possibly could have happened. Okay, that happens sometimes. You're going to have to chew on it. That's really going to be a struggle for you. But you didn't trade assets to get it, and you have proof in the pudding where you can say, look at this guy. 3 years into his career, 5 years into his career. This is different because they traded 6 draft picks. 3 of them were first-round picks, Jay. 3 first-round picks to get him. Then they gave him $230 million, and he had a ton of red flags when he was leaving Houston for obvious reasons. And I think it's pretty clear now he didn't even want to go to Cleveland. The reason he went there and waived his no-trade was because they gave him all that money. It wasn't because he was dying to be a Brown. Remember, it was, is he going to Atlanta? Is he going to New Orleans? Is he going to Carolina? All right, I'll go to Cleveland because they gave me $230 million. He was terrible yesterday. Now, I will say his offensive line was beat up. He lost out on both of his tackles, but he could not connect on a throw down the field. 0 for 10 in passes 15 yards or more down the field. 0 for 10. He got sacked 6 times. He was throwing the ball out of bounds. He looks lost. It's a mess, and I feel for people in Cleveland. It's almost like they had to sell their souls to the devil to get their team back, right? The Browns left. In order to get the team back in Cleveland, they have to go through 25-plus years of just abysmal quarterback play. And on top of the abysmal play, it's the worst contract in football right now.
No, on the other side, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys got the win, and this happened just after Dak signed a deal that made him the highest paid player in the National Football League. My question for you, Bryan, is, are you surprised that deal for Dak finally got done? And do you think there's a chance that Cowboys owner Jerry Jones regrets this deal down the road?
I do think there's a chance he will regret it if Dak doesn't figure out how to perform in the playoffs. I have no doubt that Dak Prescott is a very good, elite regular season quarterback. He showed that in Cleveland on Sunday, and I believe he will continue to show that in the future. He's a really good, smart quarterback that will make that engine work in Dallas in the regular season. But those are the operative words, in the regular season. He is not capable in the playoffs so far in his career of dragging this team to the promised land. And ultimately, that's what Jerry Jones continues to push for. It's been a long time since those early 90s teams that won the Super Bowl when he just got into ownership in Dallas. And he's seeking that. But what happened here was this wasn't about Jerry Jones being just passionate about winning or uber obsessed with winning. He was fearful of losing. And there are 2 mentalities in pro sports, and he went with the latter. He was afraid of getting that much worse, right? If Dak leaves, then maybe Trey Lance has to step in, and that could be a mess. Or you can't find the free agent, or you got to restart a rebuild. So I don't even know if this was about winning the Super Bowl. This was making sure you make the playoffs and avoiding being awful. So from that standpoint, I guess I'm not that surprised because Jerry Jones talks a big game, and he loves being in the center of things. He loves being a content machine. He loves doing interviews. He loves being under the lights. He loves being in front of the mic. And again, he talks a big game. But in the end, usually he buckles, right? CeeDee Lamb. Yep. He talked a big game. He made him sit out of camp, and then all of a sudden he paid him, and he paid him a boatload. Same thing with Dak. It was this big song and dance. We'll see. I'm not in a rush. I want playoff success. I want a Super Bowl. Actually, here's the money. So, yeah, I think he could end up regretting it. He will if Dak doesn't end up winning in the playoffs, and he has to prove that he can do that. But Jerry Jones, generally it's a lot of sizzle, not steak when it comes to him, so I can't necessarily say I'm shocked he ended up going this route.
Bryan, I talked about how great your hair is. Joe Burrow might have the best hair in all of professional sports right now. Those frosted tips are incredible, and I hope to replicate them sometime later this year. But the Bengals, definitely the most disappointing loss on Sunday. You lose to the New England Patriots. It wasn't that long ago, Bryan. You know this. And we were talking about the Bengals, along with the Chiefs and the Bills atop the AFC. They're not anywhere near that at this point, are they?
No, they're clearly not. And you're right. 2 years ago, they were in the championship game. 3 years ago, they were in the Super Bowl. And that feels like an eternity ago now. And really, that was a wake-up call, or you would think, a wake-up call for the Bengals. Because full credit to Gerard Mayo, full credit to the Patriots. That's not a very good team. They're going to have a really tough season. But they went on the road, and they showed up, and they looked for a fight. And they smacked Cincinnati around, and Cincinnati wasn't up for the fight. And if you want to be legit, if you want to chase Kansas City, if you want to chase the Bills, if you want to chase the Baltimore Ravens, the other teams within your own division, if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, like the Steelers who win all the time, the aforementioned Browns, as bad as it was, they were in the playoffs last year, and they do have a lot of talent there. You better start showing that you're legit. And as of right now in Cincinnati, a lot of it is just smokescreens, right? A lot of it is them getting credit for what they used to be. They used to be a really competitive team, so naturally we believe that they're going to figure it out this year. But they have to prove as a team, forget Kansas City, but they can keep up with Buffalo, with Baltimore, maybe with the Chargers, with Harbaugh there, and other really quality teams in the AFC. And then you look at individuals with on the team. Jamar Chase is a guy, he wants to be the highest paid wideout in the league. He doesn't deserve to be. He's not as good as Justin Jefferson. He's not as good as Tyreek Hill. I don't think he's as good as CeeDee Lamb. But it's all about trying to make sure that you get to that level and you try to get paid at that level. And Joe Burrow's been paid. He got the deal done. But Burrow's the man there. And Burrow obviously had a great collegiate career. He came out of the draft and he was the man. Cincinnati's been seeking that quarterback, a local hero for a long, long time. And I still believe in Burrow. Don't get me wrong. I believe he'll figure this out. But he's got to prove. Again, forget Mahomes. Mahomes in a different category. You got to get back in the race with Josh Allen, with Lamar Jackson, and with the other studs in the AFC, the NFC. So I can't believe they lost in that nature. I can't believe they only put up 10 points at home against a very inferior team when they're in such a tough division and they've got a real grind. But if that doesn't wake them up, we'll find out what they're made of in week 2 and beyond. It could be a long season in Cincinnati.
Tom Brady made his debut as an NFL broadcaster, as you know, Bryan. I would describe the reviews as mixed. I found it quite endearing that he struggled a bit. It's nice to know that he's a human being and he might have to work at this. It's not necessarily going to come naturally to him. But my question for you is, what did you think of his debut? And do you think broadcasting will actually work out for Tom Brady?
Yeah, I had the same viewpoint as you, Jay. It actually boosted my confidence because I will never look as good as he looks. I'll never be as rich as he is. I'll never be as athletic as he is. But I definitely can say as of today, I think I'm a better broadcaster than Tom. I don't know how long that will last, but as of today, I think that is the case. But I thought he was nervous, and I think that's natural. It's his first game. It's in the booth. He's never done it before. He has a few teammates in the booth. He doesn't have 52 other guys like you would on a football field. And I'm willing to give this guy some time. I know the effort's going to be there. I know that he's going to be prepared. I know he's going to take criticism. The question is with Brady, and whether or not this is going to work long term, is whether or not he's got the personality for it. Right? Because it's not about just go out and win the game and do whatever you can to have one more point than the next team. As you know, Jay, this is the entertainment business. He's got to entertain. He's got to prove he's got a passion for broadcasting, which I know he's getting paid a lot of money to be a broadcaster. Do you love being a broadcaster? Do you love being on the edge of your seat and calling the game? It's one game. It's a one-off. I'm intrigued by where this is going for Tom Brady. But as you said, it didn't go great week 1. We'll see what he's got week 2. I'm pulling for him because it's a cool story. And again, he's a brilliant mind. He's the GOAT in my opinion. but it's got to get better. I don't think it can get worse. It wasn't great for him in week 1.
I will say he wore a terrific suit, so there's that. And just
Yes.
like Harvey's
Yes.
has been serving Canadians for 65 years, this guy right here, Bryan Hayes, he's been serving up the hot takes since 1983. Bryan, we'll talk to you next week.
Hot Takes is presented by Harvey's. Customize your burger and get it delivered from our app to your door. Harvey's, it's a beautiful thing.